Played our intro. What's shaking? Welcome everybody to The Appeal. I am Chris Maliszewski, owner and founder of Hail Hail Auctions, and beside me is my great friend Miss Sia Yasutorat with Brilliant Beam Media. What's the face for already, ma'am?
Your audio's distorting. I don't know what happened. You sounded great earlier backstage.
Is that better?
Oh no.
Not better.
It's fine. Just stay right there. You're good. We're gonna deal. It's clipping for some odd reason. I think you need to turn the gain down on your mic. Hey guys, welcome to Backstage Action.
Yeah, exactly. We're live and in charge, I guess. But it's been a couple weeks, and I am just so excited for this week's show. Sia, did you know that I had aspirations of going into broadcast journalism at one point in college? So getting to talk to somebody who works in radio is something I'm super excited about.
You know what? It doesn't surprise me because you are such a character yourself. You're naturally well-spoken. So yeah, I could see that. I can absolutely see that.
Well, thank you. I don't know if the character is. I don't know if the character is a good or a bad thing, but I'll take it as a compliment. And yeah, my good friend Reno Dudley's getting ready to join us, and I got great stories about who he is and what he does. But before we get started, let's kick that awesome intro you created, and we'll get to Reno.
Let's do this, my friend.
I love this song. It's like it brings me back to a concert. It brings me back to my happy place. Thank you, as always, for creating that amazing intro. And, as I was saying, I mentioned live music, and our intro brings me that. That's actually how I met Reno earlier this year in May, believe it or not. Well, I guess you could believe it. I was at a Gary Clark Jr. concert, and after the show, I was waiting around, and Reno and I just kind of got to talking, and before you know it, we were at a Sox game a few weeks later and hanging out, talking on the phone. And Sia, as you get to know Reno, it won't surprise you. My first intention was like, Reno, you're going to be a kick-ass auctioneer, and you could raise a bunch of money for a lot of cool organizations. And then about 2 months into it, he's like, hey, man, I just got this call. And we'll hear all about that call, but I know you're going to love Reno as much as I do. So let's get him on the show.
Awesome possum. Let me do that. I got all excited here that you verklempt me to add our good friend on here. So
I know.
Hold on.
Stay on for 1 second. Yeah, you two are two of my favorite people in production. So Reno, it doesn't surprise me that you're laughing at Sia's amazing abilities to create applause and all these other things. But Sia, we're going to bring you back on to talk a little bit more here shortly. But Reno, let's get to talking, huh, brother?
Yes, sir.
See you guys.
Bye. But yeah, so like I was saying, what was it, man? It was, well, first off, you know how I feel about you. I've known you for about 6 to 8 months now. I don't even know what the calendar tells me, but as I've gotten to know you and become your friend, man, like you just continue to impress me more and more. You're a music manager, you're a professor at a college, you're an uncle, you're a son, you're a brother, you're now a general manager of a radio station in Austin, Texas, KAZI 88.7. So man, like tell the world who you are, because as far as I know, this is your first LinkedIn Live, right?
Yeah, it's my first LinkedIn Live. I sometimes LinkedIn, I could be a lot better with LinkedIn. I really can. But yeah, my name's Reno Dudley. I am a general manager of 88.7 KZI here in Austin, Texas. Been in that role for about a month. Additionally, I do teach the music management program at the community college out here, Austin Community College, and serve on the executive advisory board for our adjunct professors. And I am an artist manager, which is how we met, because my client, John Dees, he actually played with Gary Clark Jr. So we were on tour last year. So we did a lot of cool venues: Red Rocks in Colorado, Salt Shed in Chicago, the Fillmore in Detroit, Radio City Music Hall in New York. It was a really cool tour. And John actually, he's on a tear. My bro's on a tear right now. He just did Madison Square Garden. They also just played, I think, MGM in Vegas. So, there's a lot going on. So I definitely stay pretty busy. Off days are not a thing anymore, but hey, I love it.
Listen, you said John is taking off and on a tear. Well, he's got a good manager, right? And I want to know, tell the world a little bit about you before we get into KAZI and the heart of today's conversation. But all the things that you do, man, they're not necessarily jobs, right? Besides being a professor that people can train for or work their way into. So, being a music manager, running a radio station, how did Reno come to be?
Always been around music. That's the funny thing is, even if you look at my siblings, I have one sister who used to be the singer of the family. I have another sister who actually was a rapper in her younger days. I have an older brother. He was a hip hop artist. Actually, his first song he ever did was with George Clinton. My father was a DJ, is a DJ. He refuses to retire. My mom.
Are you hiring? Is KAZI hiring?
Yeah, I was just like, no, man, we do not need to put that man on the airwaves. So music was always a thing. Even a lot of my best friends, John, we were actually friends before I ever entered the music industry. And they were all artists. And so I was always on the business track. So growing up, I was in all the business clubs. I was a national qualifier for DECA. Never actually got to go compete and wish I would have. And marketing was my thing. Business management was my thing. And a lot of my friends, they would ask me hey, how can we get you to help us with our careers? And I was always like, I don't think I want anything to do with the music industry. I'm good. Kept on going and going and going. And I remember one day John calls me. He's like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do, A, B, and C. And John is a virtuoso. He's an absolute once in a generation talent. And I'm like, all right, sounds interesting. And we ended up running into two artists, one named Brendan Foster and another one named Alicia Lonnie, where I know, for instance, I was a person, Alicia found me actually, and I checked out one of her shows and I was like, I don't want to manage an artist, but if I did, I want one of those. And then started working with Alicia. And then next thing I know, I went from I don't want anything to do with this industry to it rules my life literally now.
You're recruiting others into it, right? By teaching and educating and being a part of DECA as you were, again, doesn't surprise me. As I've gotten to know you, you prove yourself to be smarter and smarter every conversation we have. And being a professor, and instilling the love of the industry as you are now to others is just another indication of who you are. But, managing John, as you said, in May when we met at the Salt Shed, you got to talking and, it was almost as if we could have just kept talking all night and exchanged information. And as we got to know each other, I was like, Reno, you could be a kick-ass fundraiser, auctioneer. You have all the skill sets. We go to a Sox game and I get to know you better. And then all of a sudden, as luck would have it, you call me one day and you're like, hey man, you never guess who I got a call from. And I'm like, who? And you're like, a charity nonprofit radio station. And I'm like, that's the perfect position for you. And so talk a little bit about how KAZI came to be in your life, a little bit about what it is you do now, and then we'll start talking meat and potatoes.
Yeah, so it actually was because of the college professorship. So they invited me up to talk about the program that we have and how we have in our department. It's amazing. So we have myself, we have a lady named Heather Wagner Reed, who was actually on Beyonce's PR team. Roanna, my mentor, she has extensive 30 years publishing experience, actually did admin management for Sony Music. We have a couple of attorneys on the team and everything. So we have the entire bandwidth of the music industry, from the legal aspects to the management aspects to the performance aspects to the publishing aspects. So they called me in to do the interview for it. And while the interview was going on, one of my friends, he was like, hey, we're looking for a station manager. You should apply. And I was like, I guess I'll, throw my hat in the ring. Never expected for it to go anywhere. Got a call the next day from a gentleman named Greg. And he's like, let's talk about this. And I was actually in Chicago when I got the call. Yeah, we had just done the Salt Shed and I was hanging out because I have a sister in Chicago, and so my niece was graduating from middle school, so I stayed in Chicago a few extra days. And then I came back and we interviewed, and it seemed like we had an alignment in the direction that we saw things going as far as fundraising and doing things that impact the community, and just pushing the message forward and pushing the positivity and the togetherness forward. So it became a situation that I was very passionate about and very intrigued. And so, the offer came by and I accepted it, and then here we are.
The rest is history. So for those that don't know, right, and I didn't know KAZI even existed until, you educated me about it. So talk a little bit about the station. What type of music does it put out? What type of programming? Who, we titled the show Broadcasting with a Purpose, right? Like, I know with your leadership, you are committed to impacting and doing things with a purpose, not just because. So talk a little bit about where KAZI was before you and where you plan to take it.
Before me, like, KZI has been around 42 years. It's actually, if I'm not mistaken, the oldest radio station in Austin, Texas, and has always been a community radio station. So we do have, we have a broad breadth of music that we play. We have everything, of course, from we have like our urban shows, hip hop shows, and then we even have we have a Bollywood show. We have some gospel, some Washington go-go music. So we have a number of different personalities who are bringing so many different types of music into the station. And while we're doing that, we also have, amazing programming in our talk shows. So we have some great people. So we have one of my board members, actually, her name is Latrice Cook. She has a show called Iron Sharpens Iron, which focuses on the effect of the criminal justice system on the Black community. We have the Grapevine, where they break down a lot of political issues. We have the Man Show, which, it really goes into the men's mental health aspect and the things that we see all the time. We just today actually are launching a show called Black Austin Matters, which is led by a young lady named Miles. And her show just is really just going into the experience of being Black in Austin, Texas. And so we have a number of different programs. So it's a very mixed and very programming. We're just looking to elevate things and take things to the next level and really just get into the community and really make the impacts in order to, drive everything forward. It's really about the impact for all.
Yeah, no, you said it best, the impact for all. And as a listener supported station, non-for-profit entity in the local Austin community, right, funding, like all other charities, becomes a challenge or becomes a problem to solve, right? Which is why you're in that chair you are now. And so, talk a little bit about the fundraising aspect. How do you guys go about being funded as a non-for-profit listener supported station?
There's a couple of different ways. We, of course, have the listeners, and some just drop by and they donate, which is amazing. We also have some underwriting. So anybody who has a business and they want to advertise their business, so they'll buy ad space, which that's another funding source. We, of course, have the grants through the city, which our programming impacts that because, of course, it's impact focused. And then aside from that, we have just, our board where they come in and they also help us out. We also have a community advisory board now who go out and they try to, create different events for us. We have a gala that they're planning right now, and even a couple of concerts coming up, and really getting into community and figuring out different things. We have merch coming out. We're launching a podcast network coming sometime soon. So it's really just about standing up all these things and becoming more modern in order to drive that funding and, drive that impact so that we can give back to the community.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, right? And you guys have a unique platform to be able to do that, broadcasting and radio. And then certainly in the Austin, Texas community, being, what do they call it? Like the heart of live music or something along those lines.
Live music capital of the world, as they call it.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And with Austin City Limits, I think is going on, this month. So, talk about your involvement in some of the things that with your experience as a music manager and an educator that you aspire to do differently for KAZI.
I wouldn't say so much differently. We really want to elevate everything. So let's say the impact in the community. This weekend, I was out at a couple of different high school football games. And so I started talking to a couple of the players who are being recruited. Hey, have you done media training yet? Because as you're looking to go into that next level, you're going to have cameras in your face and microphones in your face. So that allows me to dive back into my artist management side, having dealt with different medias from the billboards to the New York Times and things like that. And like really show them like, you know, smile when you're on camera, you know, make sure to always give praise to the other team, like different things that really just impact the way that people see them. And then, of course, you know, concerts and bringing in different artists. We don't have the strongest, I say, from the media side. A lot of times we're pretty much the only urban station in Austin, Texas. We have like a lot of top 40. So sometimes people want to see those new up and coming R&B artists. They want to see the new upcoming hip hop artists, country artists, and different things like that. So we're looking to bring those in, have the interviews come through, do some meet and greets with them so people can meet them. And even our own artists that we have in Austin, you know, it's big about trying to break our artists and like actually push out artists from Austin and see the artists that we've seen develop, that we've helped break, the music that we've seen since the start, and push it out to a national level. It's really all about elevation and growth and really driving the impact. And right now I just got off the phone with one of our comptrollers and pitching ideas like, hey, what if we did like a Black Austin Business Week where we did panels and like pushed everybody and did remotes and everything like that? And she's like, do you just like wake up and in the shower just think of ideas? And I'm like,
yes,
that's exactly what happens actually. Like, so there's a number of different things, and really the whole thing is about, you know, quality control, elevation, taking everything to the next level, bringing in younger people so that, you know, the millennials, Gen Zs get to start getting experience at an earlier time in different ways so that we can push them out. Because KAZI actually has an amazing alumni list. Gary, one of his first radio plays ever was here. The classic song, Wanna Be a Baller, Shot Caller 20. We actually were the first radio station to play that song. We actually broke that song. There's a platinum plaque or something around here.
How fun is that?
Yeah, good times. One of the biggest news personalities we have down here, a young lady named Quita Culpepper. She's a KZI alumni. So we actually have a strong, extensive alumni list. So we want to add to that legacy. We want to push that legacy forward. It's not about getting people in, they stay here forever. It's like getting people in here, even if 4 years starting, you go off somewhere else. We'd love to see you grow and expand and go to that national, international level.
Yeah, it's like that coaching tree, right? Like
yes.
KAZI could only be so big, right?
Yeah.
And so as you develop talent and as people mature and their interests change, you want to prepare them, right, to move on to whatever it is that they want to do. And I want to just harken back real quick, you know, something you said that, again, doesn't surprise me. Do you just get out of the shower thinking of ideas? Absolutely you do. Just like I do, right? Which is why we hit it off so quickly. Yeah. And, you know, within like, I think it was a week, I'm like just blowing your phone up. Hey man, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Have you thought about this? And you weren't even in this job yet, right? No. And now that you got this position, it's even greater because now we have something to work together towards, you know, and it's just going to be so fun to see your growth in this role and still your development as a professional and all the other interests. But you did mention like a gala's coming up. You know, what are some things that people now can really go back to with KAZI to start giving if they so wish and want to support you?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is like, yeah, we do need the donations. We do want to make the impact, and just, it's not even just the donations. Of course, the donations are great, but, you know, if you have ideas, feedback, you know, I'm open to that because, you know, IP is also still a donation in my own opinion, intellectual property. So when I
didn't think I knew that? Is that you didn't think I knew that? Is that what's the problem?
Listen, no, it's not you. Like, honestly, I said it the other day to somebody and they were like, what? And I'm like, I haven't had to say the whole thing in a long time.
That's so funny.
So, you know, we have the impact and we do have to show the work. So the proof is starting to be in the pudding. We have a lot of excitement right now. Our social media, we were backstage at ACO. Got a lot of interviews, especially with like artists like the Mexican OT, who's actually from Austin. So he played one of the largest stages at ACO. We had a couple of interviews with DJs from Nigeria, just touching all the different artists, all the different genres, and really just making people stay informed. And then we really want to bring back the fun to radio, because it's funny because a lot of us got away from radio and with the streaming because we got sick of like radio playing the same 5 to 6 songs, which if you understand the way commercial radio works, it makes a lot more sense why you only hear like 5 to 6 songs back to back to back to back. But then we went over to streaming, and then we started just playing the same 5-6 songs back to back to back to back. Mm-hmm. And like when I was growing up, there was such an excitement around, you listen to the radio, you hear the new singles, probably semi-dating myself, but you know, you're waiting for that song to come on that you just heard so you hit record and like and get the tape. So, you know, we want to get that excitement back where, you know, the DJs were really, you know, mixing and blending and breaking new music. And I think that was really a lot of what hurt it, is like when the conglomerates came in, we kind of started getting stuff shoved down our throat, as opposed to like just naturally things would come in from a local level that would go to a national level, and everybody was different breaking things. So it's kind of bringing that back, that feel, that excitement where you're tuning in and it's like, you know what, but today I want to listen to see what they have, as opposed to just going to my Spotify playlist and kind of just hearing A, whatever the labels have paid for, or B, you know, the same playlist I have. Because I know my Spotify, like my top 5 Spotify songs has not changed in like 3 years.
Mine never will. You know what mine are all 1 through 5 Pearl Jam, right? And but you know, it's so funny. We were talking earlier that hit the button record. I remember my first song that I ever did that to was Under the Bridge by Red Hot Chili Peppers, right? I'm dating myself. And then we got into burning CDs, right? And all these different mediums of which music has really gone and evolved into. And then with Sirius XM and things like that, I'm sure really hurt the local broadcasting stations, and particularly listener funded. You know, but there are so many things that I'm just so excited to see you grow into, and so many things that you're bringing new to the table already, obviously following you on social media. You're promoting all of the various internships that you guys have. What a great way for somebody who wants to break into the industry. I don't know if you saw earlier, I was joking with Sia saying, you know, I have a journalism minor, and I aspired to get into some sort of writing. You know, coaching just fell into my lap for 10 years and then whatever. But I thought I was going to be like a sports broadcaster or a sports writer, right? And I wouldn't need a station like KAZI to break into the industry. So talk a little bit about the types of roles you're looking to fill. How can youngsters join in the fun, if you will, and get your mentorship? Because that in itself is going to be priceless.
I think it's an important thing because it goes, in my own opinion, it goes past even just the radio job. So going from the DECA thing, getting my MBA and everything, my dream was always to like break into like a corporate marketing department before going into music. And I would apply. And my background was sales at the time. And it was like, everybody was like, but you don't have any experience. You have all the degrees, you have all the qualifications, you interview well, but we're going to go with somebody with more experience. So, and this is kind of like almost a semi-revenge tour of like, you know what? I'm going to give y'all the experience. And like, even I'm telling them, like, for everything that we do for the interns that we currently have, I'm like, hey, did you add this to your LinkedIn? Did you add this to your resume? Like, these are things that actually make sense to add in so that you can go get the roles that you want to get. So we have marketing, we have admin that we have, what else? Events. I actually have somebody coming in with events today. And just going into like the whole diaspora of background production, podcasting, editing, production, executive producing, being a personality in front of the camera. So there's almost every single corporate role. We even have an IT internship open right now. We're bringing in an IT intern who's going to be doing like some of our hardware and software and things. And our legal department is even letting the people who are going through law school, because we do actually have a couple of interns who are going through law school, they're helping them out with contracts and things like that. So it's like, there's so many opportunities. And a lot of people, I'm like, so what do you want to, it's like, what do you have? What do you want to do? And I will find you something, or I will create something to get you there. And at the same time, grow this station. We can figure it out together. We don't have to just stay in these boxes of roles. We can figure out a role that's going to help you and help us. So that's mutually beneficial for everybody.
Dude, you said it best, right? That's exactly what broadcasting for impact is all about, is finding a role for everybody, for lifting up the community, for elevating the production, for amplifying the brand. I mean, these are all the things you've really just talked about. And as far as I'm concerned, man, like, you're the perfect guy for the job. And so, you know, talking a little bit about production, I wanted to bring Sia back on and hear you two talk a little bit about, you know, things that you're seeing in maybe your industries and ways you can help youngsters, or way you can elevate KAZI. because as a partner of yours and just your friend, man, like, I'm committed and dedicated to making sure you succeed from Chicago as best I can. So Sia, why don't you come up for the last few minutes, and I'd love to get your thoughts, because we're talking your lingo, right? Broadcasting, production, podcasting, all the things that Brilliant Beam are experts at, if you will. And, we've seen some great people in the comments. Reno, I know you got to meet Raquel through some of my work, and how awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some just, Brilliant Beam, production, right? Brilliant Beam Media, and Sia being my partner at Hail. She's the one who runs. You think I'm smart enough to do this stuff? Absolutely not. I'm smart enough to partner with her. That's about as good as it gets. So, Sia, what have been your thoughts so far? This is new. You're muted, I think.
You're a smart aleck is what you are, young man. Oh, wait.
She's my big sister.
Wait. You're a smart aleck is what you are, young man. No, I know. Look, having a soundboard is a very dangerous thing for me, right? So I have way too much.
I would just do like a DJ air horn all day. Like it'd just be.
Yeah.
I used to have an app on my phone with it, and I used to abuse it. Yeah, like
so funny. Funny.
I try to be professional for my peoples, but look, if you want to have fun in your productions and you love the beauty of imperfection, then I think that's what Brilliant Beam Media is here for. Is if you want something to be like hella polished and like Oprah Winfrey production levels, I'm probably not that person for live. Post-production, sure, I can edit that, but live, yeah, heck no. And every question I have for you is, like, radio is so, like, that 6-second delay is really not that much time. So, like, how do you guys train for that? Is it just muscle memory, or the second you hear a, naughty bomb, like, nugget word come on? Like, how do you guys adjust for that? I've always been curious.
So everybody that we bring in, we do an extensive FCC training. I try to mitigate as much as I can, like, ahead of time. We have an amazing training queue. There's a gentleman named Marion who actually has that up for us. We try to mitigate as much as we can ahead of time. And then too, it is a lot of muscle memory. Luckily, I have a lot of experience around me. Some of the people who we have in here, they've been here 30, 40 years. So like they can see it coming before it even comes, and then they're like 2 sentences ahead. Like, oh, it's coming. Like, all right, cool. And then, sometimes we do have the pre-produced segments, which allow us to do it a lot easier. So it is a lot of muscle memory, and it's also a lot of like upfront, like, hey, please don't do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Like, really think about what you're doing, really think about what you're saying. I mean, it's part of media training. You can't really do all that many interviews where you can. Podcasts are different, but for the most part, if you're on a news station, television, award show, I mean, radio interview, you just can't go out there and just like F-bomb this and all this. And like for the entire time, you have to like, understand how to talk.
Oh my God. Can you just, every time I hear and I think of like the proper media training, that is not what podcasting is. And I think that's why we have to differentiate. There's a very big difference between radio and podcasting, because so many times I hear people, at least from my world, they're like, oh, I want to be like X. And it's like, that's fine. If you want the format to run like a radio station where you have segments and you want to like, mix in music overlays and all that good stuff, that's fine. But understand there is a difference between the two. And I find it just always so fascinating. So, but while you were talking about that whole concept of media training, you guys, have you guys ever watched Austin Powers?
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Molly. Like, don't say the F-bomb. Molly. That's all I think of. But the thing, I can't do something, I'm going to say it.
No, but the thing that's so unique, right, in production or radio or media entertainment in general, right? It's a for-profit business, and there's a lot of money to be made, right? But what I think is so cool about what KAZI brings to the table is, of course, they need money to operate. Fundraising is imperative to their mission, but that's not their intention. Their intention is giving back, and so Reno, it's just been amazing to get to know you, who you are, become your friend. If you're watching and you're so inclined, please scan that QR code. It'll take you directly to KAZI. You can kick a few bucks their way. support the station and all it is that Reno's hoping to do, and I know he'll accomplish. So before we sign off, man, is there anything you want to say? Anyone, point people to your website. How can they help you? What is it that you want to leave the world with before we go about our day today?
I say it's KAZIFM.org. Really take a look. We have a lot on there. We have, a couple of new podcasts that we have on there. Really take a look. We take feedback on our programming. You can actually listen online from wherever you are from our website. So even there, you don't have to necessarily be here in Austin, Texas. We do, stream live over the web. So definitely check us out. We have a new traffic jam show starting, Friday this week. Just really, and honestly, you can email me. It's simple, Reno@KAZIFM.org. With any questions or anything like that, or even if you want to help out, or if you want to see like, hey, do you have a remote internship? Which I do have now, 2 remote interns where they just do social media. I send them content and they post it up and like do their doctoring to it so that we have TikToks and things like that. So honestly, I'm open. And, we're in a very exciting phase. We have a lot of big changes coming up, a lot of big announcements coming up. So in the words of many a radio station, I guess, stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. That's the best way to put it. And I'm going to be staying tuned, but I'm glad to be by your side, man. And it's just been an honor, like I said, to get to know you and watch your growth, if that's even possible, because you've already been a behemoth of a human and a professional. So, please, if you want to hang out with me, you can go to hailhailauctions.com, hailhailauctions@gmail.com. You can follow us on all the things that Sia puts together, because, again, I have no skill when it comes to that. I'm just a talking head, right? But before we sign off, Sia, let's get to that Tausi commercial and thank our number 1 supporter, Janice Shokran and Tausi.
Yes, please.
Falling asleep with your head in the wrong position is a pain in the neck. You deserve Tausi Comfort for head, neck, and back support. Go to tausibrands.com and get your comfort on.
Janice keeps saying she's going to mail me a new one after my stepmom stole it, and I still have yet to get it. So, Reno, when you get yours, you'll have to tell me what you think. All right, my man?
Yes.
All right.
So we
well,
definitely should. Oh, calling that girl out. Oh,
I'm kidding. I love her. She's amazing. Anyways, this has just been an awesome conversation, Reno. I've been waiting to get you on. We knew the world brought us together for some odd reason, and this might be it, man. So let's keep chugging along, and let's get to that outro and move about our day. So hail, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Hail, everyone.